Welcome to the second lecture on centrifugal compressors. The objective of this session is to discuss the velocity of centrifugal compressor with radial vanes in particular, and we will try to derive an expression for Euler's work and the actual work done. So first we will start with velocity triangles of a centrifugal compressor with radial vanes. So here the impeller is mounted with radial vanes, and we explained this three types of blading in the last lecture: backward curved vanes, forward curved vanes, and radial vanes. And we discussed that the radial vanes are very common in centrifugal compressors due to obvious advantages, and even we explained the advantages also in the previous lecture. So here we consider this impeller mounted with the radial vanes, and as you know, the flow is entering axially at the eye of the impeller. So this is the eye of the impeller. The circle shown is the outer tip. So you can say that that is the tip of the impeller eye. So this circle, and here you have the root of the impeller eye. So the air is entering here between, this annular space between these two, that is the root and the tip of the impeller eye. So here, and this air enters axially. So what I want to say is, since the blades at the inlet, see this, you can see this curvature. So the air entering, the fluid enters without shock. That is our objective. So the blade is moving in this direction clockwise now. Let us say it rotates, the impeller rotates in the clockwise direction. Therefore, the direction of the direction of motion of the vane at inlet, consider this is the tip 1. So the tip 1, I have taken one specific blade for example, and I will try to plot. This is 1, that is the inlet, and this one is 2. This is the outlet tip of the impeller. At the outer diameter, the point 2 is situated, and point 1 is here at the tip. Strictly speaking, it is not there in this diagram. In this 2D sketch, as you can see, this circle, this portion is near to the hub, and that is actually the root of the impeller eye. And here you have this portion, this is the tip of the impeller eye, and actually air is entering. If you consider this diagram, air is entering perpendicular to this 2D plane. So at the point 1 you can take the reference. So that means it is the midway between this the impeller eye root and impeller eye tip. So that is these two circular parts shown. There is a midway. For analysis purpose we take this. So strictly speaking, this is the midway between these two is treated to be the entry point for our analysis purpose. But for the sake of simplicity, I have shown here at the tip. This I mark this as 1, and here, and how does the air enter? So the air is entering. Our objective is the air has to enter axially, and there shouldn't be any shock. So for that purpose, this we know that the relative velocity must be tangential to the surface at the point 1. It is not tangential to this circle, but tangential to the blade surface at the point 1. Or in other words, you can say that the direction of relative velocity of fluid with respect to the motion of the vane, that must match with the vane angle at inlet, that is at the angle theta. So VR1. So VR1 is now, as you can see, this blade curvature. So it is entering here. So somewhere, strictly speaking, it is at the midway between the root and the tip of the impeller eye. Okay, that is a point 1. So here it is entering tangentially. And what about the direction of motion of the vane? And if you draw a tangent to this circle, the circle drawn over here at the point 1, so that is the direction of motion. So here u1, so u1 is drawn in that direction. So u1 is this and v1 is this, and their vector difference is the relative velocity, or in other words, Vr1 and u1, the vector sum is v1. So the important thing is that the air is entering axially, so that means there is the whirl component, and if you consider the component of v1 in the tangential direction, means in the direction of u1 is 0. So vw1 is 0 and v1 is equal to vf1. So since vw1 is 0 and v1 itself is equal to vf1. What is vf1? Velocity of flow. Remember, the velocity of flow here is axial. So vf1 is axial and alpha is equal to 90. What is alpha? Alpha is the inclination of the absolute velocity of air with the direction of motion of the vane at inlet. What is direction of motion of vane? Direction of u1. So with respect to the direction u1, we are marking all the angles. So the direction, the inclination of v1 absolute velocity is alpha, inclination of relative velocity with u1, that is theta. So vr1 and v1. So this is a simple right triangle. But remember, in this right triangle, unless we discussed in the, this unlike we discussed in the case of centrifugal pump, here what we want to say is this is a radial curved vane. And in the case of centrifugal pump, most of the centrifugal pumps are mounted with the backward curved vanes, and during the discussion of velocity triangles we used backward curved vanes, and here in this case this is radial curved vanes, that you should keep in mind. Okay, so inlet velocity triangle is this small right triangle, that's all. And important point to note is this Vr1 is tangential to the blade surface, or it is matching with the vane angle at inlet theta, and V1 is in the axial direction. Vw1 is 0. Vf1 is equal to V1 itself. Alpha is equal to 90 degree. That you should understand. And now you consider the outlet. So at the outlet tip, so as see the air passes over these vanes, and here as you can see, and it flows radially outward, and it is radially going out. Radially going out means what? With respect to the tip 2, and if I follow this tip, see it's like this. See what I have shown is here that Vf2 is marked, Vf2. But in actual practice, so far in the case of pumps and turbines, we considered that relative velocity is exactly tangential to the blade surface at the respective tips. But in this case, see this relative velocity is shown at an angle. That is due to a very special phenomena called or by considering the slippage, or you say slip factor, the slip. There is a recirculatory flow of air around the blade surfaces due to the inertia effect. So due to the inertia effect, air is radially flowing out, and impeller at very high speed is rotating in this direction. So there is a pressure difference created on both surfaces, just like the both sides of an aerofoil. So you have the aerofoil surface, both sides, a pressure difference is there. Pressure difference now on the upper surface and lower surface. We considered in the case of mechanics of fluids, flow over aerofoils. So similar to that, here you have on both surfaces of the blade, there is a pressure difference due to which there is a recirculatory flow. So keep in mind, because of the inertia effect, there is a recirculatory flow. Therefore, the velocity at the exit tip is not following that radius, but instead at a small angle. So at an angle here. So Vr2 is like this. So this is in real practice, due to what normally we call it slip factor. So due to slip factor, relative velocity is not exactly tangential to the surface at the exit tip, but it is at an angle that is VR2. So the answer, what you should explain is because of the recirculatory flow due to the inertia effect. Ultimately that causes a slip factor which is less than 1. And we will explain that later, but now for time being you consider this VR2 is not exactly this, not along the radius like this, but it is at a slight angle. See this VR2. And then what about U2? So U2 you consider just like the inlet side you considered this circle, here now you consider this circle, the outlet dia or outlet circle representing the outlet of the impeller. So this one, outlet dia of the impeller, this is the circle, and here it is shown as radius R2, 2 times R2 is D2 is the outlet dia of the impeller. Okay, so now you consider this outlet part, and that if you consider the point 2 and draw a tangent to the circle at the point 2, tangent to this circle at the point 2, and that definitely will indicate the direction of U2, that is the tangential velocity of the impeller at outlet. So just like direction of U1, direction of U2 is like this, and what we have drawn is this VR2, as I said, due to the recirculatory flow it is at an angle, and let this be VR2, and then what U2 is along the tangent to the circle, not tangent to the blade surface, tangent to this circle representing the impeller at outlet, and that this is that U2. How do you find out U2? U2 is equal to pi d2 n by 60. What is U1? Pi d1 n by 60, where n is the rotational speed of the impeller in RPM. So U2 is this one, and the resultant of VR2 and U2 is the absolute velocity with which the air comes out. So that is V2. So V2, the absolute direction in which the air comes out is this one, V2. So V2 is the absolute velocity of air coming out of the impeller tip 2 at outlet. So this is V2. So V2 is this, U2 is this is VR2. And what is VF2? VF2, if suppose the flow is along the radius that is normal to U2. So the component of V2 normal to U2, that is VF2. And component of V2 along the direction of U2, that is VW2. So you already know VW2 whirl component and VF2 flow component, and the resultant is V2. So the component of V2 in the direction of U2 is VW2. Component of V2 normal to the direction, perpendicular to the direction of U2 is VF2. In an ideal case, actually this VR2 should have been along the radius, means along this VF2, actually in ideal case. So that diagram also in the next slide I will show that in the ideal case, but in the actual case this is the diagram. This is the triangle. It's a very simple case, so you can understand. And this is the vane angle phi at the outlet. What is this beta? That is the guide vane angle at outlet. Actually it is now, after this it is the air is taken to the diffuser vanes. So taken up by the diffuser vanes and thereafter to the casing and delivery exit. Through the casing to the delivery exit, the compressed air goes in that, flows in that direction. So now the velocity triangle at the inlet tip and outlet tip of the impeller is complete now. So these two are the triangles you have to keep in mind when we deal with centrifugal compressor with radial vanes or radial bladed impeller, you can say. So in simple, for solving numericals and all, whenever you have to draw a diagram, this will be sufficient. See the radial vane is shown over here. See, this is out of 4 blades have been shown over here. I have taken one, so that one vane is shown over here. Slight bend. See, this is the one. Slight bend at the inlet tip. See, it's like this. So you can draw like this. So the outer radius is shown, the inner radius is shown, and this is the triangle. So this is the triangle, and the inlet velocity triangle at inlet, and V1 is equal to Vf1, Vw1 is 0 and alpha is 90. Okay, so this you know that theta is the vane angle and the various terminologies. I mean, we know the nomenclature already. So this is inlet tip 1, and in outlet tip 2, this is the triangle in an actual case. So in an actual case, what reason we said? Because of the recirculation, the relative velocity at exit does not follow tangentially the blade surface, but it will slightly move away from that if the impeller is rotating in this direction, means in this case clockwise direction. So this is the triangle. So but here I have taken, drawn one vane in the vertical direction, that's all. Vane I have represented in the upward direction, but the earlier case here I have considered this is the vane, this vane I considered. But remember one more important thing, this triangle, this inlet velocity triangle is if you consider the plane of inlet velocity triangle and outlet velocity triangle, they are mutually perpendicular. So that means the plane containing this triangle, inlet velocity triangle, and the plane containing outlet velocity triangle are perpendicular actually. They are not on. See, don't be under the impression that this inlet velocity triangle and outlet velocity triangle are in a single plane. Why so? Because here the air is entering axially and it flows out radially. Axial direction and radial direction are mutually perpendicular to one another. So these two triangles in two different vertical planes in this case, as it is drawn here. Okay, now you consider this velocity triangle, triangle I have explained already, but in the ideal case, if there is no slip factor or slip factor is equal to 1, an ideal case, then what you should do is this VR2 is along the radius. VR2 is along the radius. See, now whatever way VF2 has been drawn, the same will be the direction of VR2. So VR2 in fact will be equal to VF2 also in the ideal case when slip factor is equal to 1. So whenever in a numerical problem slip factor is equal to 1, then you can draw this velocity triangle. Velocity triangle at outlet will be like this. Otherwise, in an actual case, please keep in mind this is the diagram. But can you notice one thing here? If slip factor is 1, then Vw2 will be equal to U2, because V2 is in this direction, VR2 is like this, and U2 is in this direction. The resultant is V2, absolute velocity of air at outlet. And if you take the component of V2, one is normal to U2 and one perpendicular to U2. VR2 itself will be Vf2. And U2 itself will be Vw2. What is the angle phi? Angle phi is 90. It is not beta, it is angle phi. Vane angle at outlet is 90 in this ideal case, but in the actual case it is not so. See, here you can see this. Okay, so now we will consider what is slip factor. So exam point of view, you may get a question, what is slip factor related to a centrifugal compressor? So how do you define that? It is the ratio of tangential velocity of the fluid at outlet to the tangential velocity of the blade at outlet. I repeat, it is the ratio of the tangential velocity of the fluid at outlet. What is tangential velocity of fluid at outlet? That is Vw2. Tangential velocity of fluid at outlet. Tangential velocity of fluid at outlet means the velocity component of the fluid in the direction of U2. So in the direction, that is Vw2. So the slip factor is the ratio of tangential velocity or whirl velocity component of the fluid at outlet to the tangential velocity of the blade or vane at outlet tip. That is, in short, you can say Vw2 and U2. It is the ratio of Vw2 and U2. So Vw2 divided by U2 is sigma. So what will happen when sigma is equal to 1? Vw2 will be equal to U2. But in actual practice, that will never happen because of the reasons I explained before. So the value of sigma is lying between 0.9 and 0.94. So in numerical problems, usually it is given 0.9 and 0.94 between. Usually this is the range in which you get slip factor. So Vw2, so from this relation, how do you get Vw2? So VW2 is equal to sigma into U2, slip factor into U2. So that you should understand. And VW2 is always less than U2 in actual practice. VW2 is always less than U2. And for a centrifugal compressor, this U2 will be very large. Actually, this RPM, we talk about comparing with pumps. Centrifugal compressors have RPM in the range of 10,000s, 20,000, 10,000, 15,000, like that range. So whereas for the pumps we talk about thousands only, like 2,000, 3,000, so that the usual range of RPM. In any way, this should be like in the range of several thousands, like you can say 5,000, 10,000 or 15,000, very high RPM. That is a special feature and the complexity of centrifugal compressors actually. So expression for Euler's work and actual work done in centrifugal compressor. It's very simple for you to answer, because we already know what is Euler head impressed in the case of a pump, centrifugal pump, the very same thing. So what is that Euler's head? What do you mean by Euler head? It is the head impressed by the impeller on the fluid. So here head impressed by the impeller on the air. So Euler head, theoretical head. So that is VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1 by G. And what is the unit in which you get? Meters of fluid. What is meter? You can write joule per Newton. So this can be interpreted as, what you can say is energy or work done per unit weight, or energy per unit weight, or work done per unit weight of fluid. That also you can say instead of meter. So Euler power, what is Euler power? In the case of pumps we know it is rho Q G H E. So rho Q G into H E, rho Q G weight flow rate multiplied by the Euler head. Rho Q is the mass flow rate, into G is the weight flow rate, into H E is the Euler head. That is Euler power. What is that? Euler work done per second, or theoretical work impressed by the impeller on the fluid per second. How do you get that? Rho Q. What is rho Q? Rho into Q. See, remember, here Q is the volume flow rate, or the discharge we say. Here the volume flow rate of air. It is in meter cube per second. What is rho? It is the mass density of fluid. Mass, which is not at all a constant. It will vary. Air is a compressible fluid. So rho is the mass density in kilogram per meter cube. What is mass flux or mass flow rate? It is rho into Q. So mass flow rate in kilogram per second. So Euler's work done, how do you get? Rho Q into GHE. So it is m dot into, there is a 1 G here, and you multiply this HE, there is a G in the denominator, so G will be cancelled. So what do you get? M dot into, m dot is, we are replacing rho Q. So G is cancelled. So what you get is m dot into VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1. Okay, and this is in watts, Newton meter per second, that is in watts. So m dot into, but in our case we know that our VW1, since the flow is entering axially, this V1 is equal to Vf1 and alpha is 90, so you have VW1 0. So therefore this will be m dot into VW2 U2, m dot into VW2 U2 in watts. But if you divide it by mass flow rate, if you divide this Euler power by mass flow rate, you will get work done per unit mass. So how do you get that? Euler's work done per unit mass of fluid flowing. So that is equal to this Euler power, this divided by mass flow rate. That is this Euler power in watts. That is what is that? Newton meter per second, or you can say joule per second. That joule per second divided by kilogram per second. Joule per second divided by kilogram per second. So what answer you will get? Joule per kg. So therefore VW2 U2 without mass flow rate. So in short, let me tell you, without mass flow rate, if you take the product VW2 and U2, what you should say is, that is the theoretical work done or Euler's work done by the impeller on the air per unit mass of it. So Euler's work done per unit mass of air is equal to VW2 U2. What is its unit? Joule per kg. But now earlier we have explained what is slip factor. Slip factor sigma is equal to VW2 by U2. So therefore what is VW2? Sigma into U2. So you can substitute substitute for VW2 here. So if you substitute, what expression you will get? Euler's work done is per unit mass, or in joule per kg, is given by a very simple expression. What is that? Instead of VW2, you write sigma U2. So sigma U2 into U2 is sigma U2 square. So sigma U2 square, what is sigma? It is slip factor. What is slip factor? VW2 divided by U2. What is the range of values for slip factor? It is between 0.9 to 0.94, that range. So it is less than 1. Okay, so sigma U2 square or VW2 U2 is the Euler's work done per unit mass of fluid. Euler's power, if you want, it is you multiply that quantity by mass flow rate, m dot into VW2 U2. So actual work done now. So the final expression. Before we conclude this session, we will write an expression for actual work done. See, actual work done is obtained by considering another important criteria. Due to the frictional losses involved in the compressor, so here you have to give more work. Actually, the impeller has to do more work. So therefore, the actual work done should be more than this, more than sigma U2 square. So actual work done is obtained from Euler's work done by multiplying this by a factor, and that factor is called work input factor or power input factor or work done factor. So like that, usually it can be denoted by psi. So what is psi? Work input factor is the ratio of actual work done to the theoretical work done. What is theoretical work done? Euler's work done. So actual work done by Euler's work done is equal to work input factor psi, and usually the value of psi is greater than 1. Remember, the slip factor we said it is less than 1. Here work input factor is more than 1. What is the range? And it is little above 1. That's all. So work input factor or power input factor, that is greater than 1, and the usual range of values you may expect is 1.03 to 1.05. So what is actual work done? This Euler's work done multiplied by a factor. What is that factor? Work input factor. So the actual work done is equal to this psi into Euler's work, that is work input factor into Euler's work done, or work input factor into theoretical work done, that is psi into sigma U2 square, that is the actual work done. What is the unit of this one? It is joule per kg, and if you want in power, in the power work done per second, power rating, then multiply this by mass flow rate. So with this we wind up this session. So please practice drawing the velocity diagrams. The velocity diagrams, velocity triangle at inlet and outlet, and this is a very common one. In fact, we discussed the velocity triangle for centrifugal compressor with radial vanes, and there are two more possibilities, backward curved vanes and forward curved vanes. But for centrifugal compressors, that is usually rare, and most of the centrifugal compressors are mounted with radial vanes. So in the usual case, these two are the triangles you should keep in mind, and then the expression for Euler work done and actual work done, and the two important factors, slip factor and work input factor. Okay, so have a happy learning experience. Thank you so much.